Until Barnabas became a vamp. Schwarzkopf and other American commanders in Saudi Arabia. All signs point clearly to a ground campaign. In Saudi Arabia, here's Mike Betcher.
There are as many opinions about when the ground war should begin as there are generals in Operation Desert Storm. Early this morning, Secretary Cheney and General Powell sat down with their field commanders to begin sorting through possible future scenarios. When or if to order a ground attack is the U.S. military's most difficult decision since the timing of D-Day was set a half-century ago. A military spokesman described the session as upbeat and serious.
It was upbeat. I mean, you know, when you're fighting a war, it's not slapping everybody on the back and saying great job.
Today, a frontline Marine unit said it was prepared for any order, any time.
We've been doing a lot of training, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go across there, do my job.
But until the final decision is made, the Marines are maintaining vigilant patrols in case Saddam Hussein decides to set his own timetable and launch his own offensive. Overwhelming Allied air power, though, would make an Iraqi first strike a virtual suicide mission. Air supremacy has also bought Allied generals the time to plan their own ground strategy. The luxury of time was also made possible by these men, the troops who manned the Patriot batteries. Cheney and Powell had planned to visit some of them at a base near Riyadh, but at the last minute, because they were running behind schedule, their trip was canceled. They had originally planned to pay homage to a missile and the men who fire it, because the entire scenario for this war could have been quite different without the Patriot.
I think that if we wouldn't have been around and the system hadn't have been proven effective, we probably would have been tossed into a ground conflict a lot earlier.
But eventually, Allied commanders probably will have to order some sort of a ground assault. Every influential voice in the matter, from generals to Saudi princes, was heard by Cheney and Powell. They came here looking for a gut feeling. If they got one, it will be the most highly kept secret of this war. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Saudi Arabia.
And while the military commanders were meeting today, the war continued in the air, and there was news of a close call at sea. An Iraqi missile may have come close, very close to hitting an American warship in the Persian Gulf, the USS Nicholas. Arthur Kent is in Saudi Arabia with today's war news. Arthur?
Garrick, the near miss happened 6 days ago in the northern Arabian Gulf. Apparently the missile, presumed to be Iraqi, an investigation is still underway, passed so close to the U.S. frigate Nicholas that some of the men on watch could actually feel the heat of the rocket's exhaust. But it blew up in the water, causing only slight shrapnel damage to the ship.
The Nicholas, seen here escorting the Wisconsin yesterday, was in the northern reaches of the Persian Gulf when the near miss occurred. U.S. ships will likely face more Iraqi fire as the Navy supports Allied forces preparing to enter Kuwait. Next to the glamour boys of the Navy, this pilotless reconnaissance drone is something less than graceful. But by flying over Iraqi positions in Kuwait this past week, the drones have guided the Navy's heaviest guns on target. One recent objective, a Kuwaiti marina used by Iraqi forces.
Busted up their piers. We sank a number of the boats. We definitely did not make the Iraqis' night.
Gunner Skelly puts his heart into his work, destroying Iraqi defensive positions.
When you have a battleship blowing their bunkers completely out of the earth, it doesn't matter how good of a defensive soldier you are.
While the Wisconsin clears the way for a future land offensive, naval commanders are assessing the escape of 1/5 of Saddam Hussein's attack planes to Iran.
Can you imagine what it'd be like to be an Iraqi soldier sitting in the trenches down there in Kuwait and have your Air Force go on vacation in Iran?
But naval officers and pilots are keeping a close watch on Iranian skies, fearing they'll see the Iraqi warplanes again.
I don't subscribe to the theory that they all just went there for vacation.
While those Iraqi aircraft cannot yet be counted out, at least 21 more Iraqi troops surrendered, crossing the Saudi-Kuwaiti border and giving themselves up to Allied forces. But French military authorities warn us that there are at least 400,000 more Iraqi troops holding firm and still ready to fight, and that a ground war to defeat them could take weeks, not days. Garrick?
All right, Arthur Kent in Saudi Arabia, thank you. And now news from the diplomatic front. Iraq's Deputy Prime Minister Sadoun Hamadi was in Iran today, carrying Saddam Hussein's response to Iranian peace proposals. No details given out as of yet. Hamadi then traveled from Tehran to Jordan for talks with King Hussein in the Jordanian capital. Elsewhere, Soviet President Gorbachev said today he is sending an envoy to Baghdad to meet with Saddam Hussein. Gorbachev said the Soviet Union still stands behind the use of force, but he also said he's concerned that the Allied air campaign is going beyond the UN resolution to force Iraqi troops out of Kuwait. And as for the destruction in Iraq, we have one eyewitness report from a British reporter traveling from Jordan to Baghdad last night. Via telephone, BBC correspondent Alan Little told us what he saw there.
We approached the town of Ramadi, about 100 kilometers from Baghdad, well after dark, and stumbled upon the immediate aftermath of an attack. There was panic in the town, soldiers and civilians running through the shadows to find cover. About half a mile from the road to the south, fire was taking hold of a large installation, quickly engulfing it.
Alan Little of the BBC reporting. The Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Arens is heading to Washington tomorrow. He will confer with Defense Secretary Cheney, who returns to the capital also tomorrow. The Israelis, of course, are very anxious to know what the next move in the war will be. Well, last night, Israel was the target of yet another Iraqi Scud missile attack. U.S. Patriot missiles intercepted the Scud. There was falling debris, however, and there was damage, and 25 people were injured. Most of them suffered only minor injuries. There could have been many more casualties. The people who live in the neighborhood where that missile came down last night say it is a miracle that no one there was killed. Keith Miller takes us on site with those Israelis on the day after.
Most of the residents were gone from this area last night, so that accounts for so many people not being injured in the low numbers. Your parents or your relatives were staying in this neighborhood?
Yes, relatives.
And how are they doing today?
The woman not so well, the husband better.
Better. Is it actually injuries from flying glass and plaster?
From everything. Look around. You can see by yourself. It's unbelievable. And it's a miracle that nobody was killed. It's unbelievable. You know, we work with our army and with God. And God help us. That's the only answer.
You have to rebuild the house.
To rebuild?
Sure. They are going to destroy it. It's already destroyed. Total lost this house.
There's 1,000 journalists in Israel right now covering the Scud attacks and, of course, the Israeli political situation in this Gulf War. And the people are inundated. Cameras are climbing all over in and out of the buildings, questioning people, and after a while, people get tired of it.
We're so fed up with all the television, so please let us work.
A recent poll showed 86% of the public favors holding off, not retaliating, and not jeopardizing the alliance against Iraq. Again, it's something when you see all this kind of damage and you see what's happened here, you wonder how people can be restrained in a situation like this. You would think that the immediate reaction would be anger and retaliation and wanting to strike back. And so this country will continue to absorb these attacks and try to suffer in silence. Keith Miller, NBC News, on site in Tel Aviv.
As we cover the war and our world this day, we'll return to this country next to see what Americans are saying in support of and opposition to the war.
Ford Motor Company profiles in quality, customer satisfaction.
Today we realize that quality's got to be number one. I said that back in '82, and today it's truer than ever.
The looks attracted me, but the performance sold me.
After 2 years, it still shines like new.
We love hearing things like that. The only thing better than a Sable
is two Sables. Our goal is to build the highest quality cars and trucks in the world.
At Ford, the quality is job one.
Hard to believe, but that was me, Dan Deerdorf, before I lost 40 pounds in 4 months with Ultra Slim Fast. Hey, I'm a big eater, but with Ultra Slim Fast, I never felt hungry. The plan is easy. I had a delicious shake for breakfast, another for lunch, and then a sensible dinner. I'm back to my college playing weight, and I feel terrific. Best of all, I'm not shaped like one of these anymore.
Ultra Slim Fast. Give us a week. We'll take off the weight.
Outside Philadelphia today, a rally in support of American troops in the Persian Gulf. Nearly 20,000 people turned out to march, wave the flag, and celebrate Hero Day, honoring the soldiers of Operation Desert Storm. There were similar rallies in several other cities across the country. There have been many demonstrations against the war, but what is notable so far these days is the number of marches in support of it. Today in Atlanta, there was yet another one. One point made at it is that this war is not like the Vietnam conflict. Here's Kenley Jones.
Let's just keep going until those boys come home. And
I like to see people like this come out and support the war. I don't think freedom's free.
I feel very patriotic.
Some of the rallies in support of Operation Desert Storm, like this one in Atlanta today, have been organized by national coalitions. But much of the support has come from the grassroots level. From school fences in Colorado, to floats at Mardi Gras, to the human flag in Norfolk, Virginia. The country is awash in patriotism. The war in Vietnam became unpopular when it dragged on for years. Demonstrators took to the streets to denounce not only U.S. involvement, but American soldiers as well.
We're not the world's policemen.
Former Secretary of State Dean Rusk had the unenviable task of defending President Lyndon Johnson's policies.
It was not until the first half of 1968 that people at the grassroots turned against Vietnam and decided that since we could not tell them when the war was going to be over, we might as well chuck it.
This will not be another Vietnam.
President Bush has said we're not going to go in there with one hand tied behind our back, and that makes a big difference.
Tommy Clack lost 3 limbs serving as an Army lieutenant in Vietnam. Reviled and spat upon when he came home, he says a quick victory in the Persian Gulf will make instant heroes of American soldiers again.
There isn't going to be no more of this "you lost," and it's going to be focused on winners. And I think even though we know we won in Vietnam, this group is going to come home winners.
In an attempt to ensure that and to keep the war from dragging on, President Bush has deployed almost as many troops to the Gulf in 6 months as the U.S. had in Vietnam at any one time during its entire involvement there. Garrett?
Kenley Jones in Atlanta, thank you. Next, one political casualty of the war, an early presidential campaign. The Democrat candidates are not running early or running hard. Why? We'll find out as we continue.
Did you know if you're not using the AT&T network, your company waits over 40% longer for long-distance calls to connect?
I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour when there's no one else around. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour.
Without AT&T, in 1 year you may end up paying people thousands of dollars to wait.
I'm gonna wait till the
Faster connections, another AT&T advantage.
They've come for you. It's your bed, your Serta Perfect Sleeper, but it's the most comfortable spot in the house. The Serta surface and support-only Serta builds in makes it that way, the way it should be. It's why people are saying, I want my Serta. Celebrate 60 years of excellence during the Serta Diamond Anniversary Sale at participating retailers. For brilliant savings on all Serta, even Perfect Sleeper, shop today.
How do professionals clear tough clogs?
Pour in the power.
Professional Strength Liquid Drano with 3 ingredients to power through clogs. Professional Strength Liquid Drano. Now you can
pour in the power.
Theragram wants to know, what did you do today? Theragram M, fine-tuned for the way you live.
On Focus this evening, something that isn't happening, a presidential campaign. The presidential primaries for the 1992 elections are only 1 year away. Normally, what we would be reporting on this weekend are the first candidates out ringing doorbells in small towns, talking with people in coffee shops on Main Street, taking the pulse of the nation and also the candidates' political chances. But now there is war, of course, and there are no candidates out there. Lisa Myers in Washington is examining what's happening, this phenomenon. Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Garrick. The Persian Gulf crisis has had one positive side effect. It has spared us another interminable presidential campaign. The 1992 race is off to the latest start of any since the primary system began almost 2 decades ago. Normally, the streets of New Hampshire would be crawling with politicians with dreams of hail to the chief.
We should see storefronts being rented up, banners being hoisted.
It is so dead in New Hampshire that the high point of the presidential season so far is an Al Gore video which arrived last month. The farms of Iowa also are strangely quiet, except for the pigs. By this time 4 years ago, Richard Gephardt had visited the state 25 times. This year, no one is even calling.
A lot of Iowa Democrats sort of feel like the Maytag repairman. We're just waiting for the phone to ring.
It's not likely to ring soon, partly because the war has frozen partisan politics for a while, and partly because potential candidates can afford to wait.
Well, I was going to sit down over Christmas and make that decision, but I don't really have a timetable now.
If there's no one out there running to catch up with, there's no reason to jump in at this point.
The would-be pace setter, Governor Cuomo of New York, is pinned down by his state's $6 billion budget deficit.
We're biting the bullet. We're making the hard judgments. Frankly, I'm taking the heat.
The Democrats' 1988 vice presidential nominee, Benson of Texas, delayed laying out his domestic agenda until later this month. That's about the time Senator Nunn of Georgia launches his domestic policy tour. Only Congressman Gephardt already is out there openly criticizing the president.
The Bush administration had no domestic agenda the day before Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and it will have no domestic agenda the day after Saddam Hussein is driven out of Kuwait.
All the Democratic hopefuls except Gore opposed using force to drive Saddam Hussein from Kuwait. Some believe that will hurt the party.
The war will change the political dynamics of 1992 significantly. One, the focus will be away from the political domestic agenda. And number two, the Republicans will position the Democrats as being soft on the war issue.
The Democrats are much less eager to take on George Bush today.
U.S. out of the Middle East! Stop the bombing! Stop the war! U.S. out of the Middle East! Stop the bombing! Stop the war!
Lisa, thank you very much. We had some demonstrators on the other side a moment ago. Now we have that group there. In any case, Lisa, just one quick question. Did George Bush's political fortunes rise or fall on the outcome of this war?
Well, not necessarily, Garrick. Obviously, if the war goes badly, he's in big political trouble. But even if the war goes well, there is still the matter of the recession. Voters tend to vote their pocketbooks, and if the recession were to drag on into 1992, the economy, and not necessarily the war in the Gulf, could be the dominant political issue.
All right, Lisa Myers in Washington at the White House, thank you very much. And we'll have more news as we continue here in just a moment.
Take a look around me at a place like none on land. Sail away now, you'll find me. The world's at my command.
Of all the resorts in the world, one takes you to the great places of the world. Royal Caribbean, the grand resorts of the 7 seas. Isn't it time you discovered them?
Flu update. The Centers for Disease Control report. 3 highly contagious flu strains, and they're spreading unchecked. Millions will be stricken. What will you do? Doctors recommend Theraflu. Theraflu is hot liquid medicine. Strong therapy for flu symptoms. Hot liquid therapy that works fast. What will you do when you get the flu? Doctors recommend Theraflu. Strong therapy for flu symptoms.
Seems to me a new car warranty should cover the entire car for many miles. Now take Ford Taurus. Its basic warranty ends at just 12,000 miles. But the basic warranty on the new Cutlass Supreme goes a bit farther.
Like from New York to L.A., back to New York to L.A., 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 to New York. Plus a trip to Anchorage, Alaska.
Cutlass Supreme with its bumper-to-bumper plus warranty. Here's one car that does it all and does it right. Hey, Dad.
This is the new generation of old.
Sure, I want my family to eat healthy. Doesn't everyone? But I can still cook foods we love. I just cook them smarter. And I trust Pam to help me do that.
Even healthy foods like chicken can be loaded with fat and calories cooked in butter, margarine, or oil. Look at all the fat and calories they add compared to Pam, the healthier choice.
That's why we're Pam people. When they eat healthy, I'm happy.
No stick Pam cooking spray. It's the healthier way to cook.
In Lithuania today, President Vytautas Landsbergis led his people in a mass gesture of defiance, an apparently overwhelming vote for independence from the Soviet Union, a vote Soviet President Gorbachev has already declared to be illegal and invalid. A top aide to Landsbergis said today that if necessary, the Lithuanian people would use arms to resist any additional Soviet force. Last month, on a day known as Bloody Sunday, Soviet tanks rolled into Lithuania and seized Lithuania's television center. In the process, they killed 14 people. Tonight, correspondent Jim Maceda takes us on site with the voters for a free Lithuania.
For the Vashkavichus family, it's a day they've been waiting years for.
And now, democratic movement came in to such high level. I think that we can achieve this independence.
Alfonsas volunteered to register votes. Despite rumors of a Soviet provocation, the vote is going well.
I think that the total result will be very good.
Shall we go in and see how the vote is going? Okay? Good.
Okay.
Alfonsas and Erica are engineers, both 40 years of age. They've known only Soviet rule.
Lithuania will be independent, democratic republic.
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Will the Soviet Union let Lithuania go? They say they will not. Gorbachev says no.
Yes, Gorbachev says no, and he must say no, because he is from that system.
Suddenly, the tanks started firing. It was so frightening.
Erica says she had nightmares for days after Bloody Sunday. She and her husband were at the TV tower, trying to protect it from Soviet troops.
My wife...
She was standing there.
There.
But the tanks did not stop. They came up and they rolled over the people.
Did not stop, and they followed after the people, and I think they wanted to crash them.
They wanted to crush them?
Yeah.
We're sad that the world is so afraid of Moscow's nuclear weapons that it won't help us.
Alfonsas's mother, Albina, says every Lithuanian family lost at least one loved one during Stalin's annexation 50 years ago.
Too many mothers' tears have been shed. Lithuania must be free. There's no other way.
People are afraid.
Yes.
Are you afraid?
I'm not afraid.
You're not afraid now?
I'm not afraid. I will go to the end. Lithuania will be free. I believe with all my heart, and I think that will be very long process.
Jim Maceda, NBC News, on site in Vilnius, Lithuania.
And we'll have our final report in just a moment.
What can a Pitney Bowes mailing system do about rising postal rates? Watch this. Seen enough.
Maytag, can I help you? No. Maytag, can I help you?
At Maytag, our repairmen make sure they're on top of their skills.
Maytag's the name, repairs the game.
Just in case. After all, it has happened.
Maytag headquarters.
A Maytag does need a repair.
Hello? No, dear, I won't be working late tonight.
Maytag, the dependability people.
That was me, Tommy Lasorda, before I lost 30 pounds in 3 months on the Ultra Slim Fast plan. Now it's even easier to have my shake because Ultra Slim Fast comes ready to drink in new cans. Losing weight has never been so convenient. Wherever I am, I can have my shake. Ah, icy cold and delicious. Who says you can't take it with you?
Ultra Slim Fast. Give us a week. We'll take off the weight.
Flu rages across the U.S. Now in 46 states. What will you do? Doctors recommend Theraflu, hot liquid medicine that works fast. Theraflu, strong therapy for flu symptoms.
And finally this evening, as American commanders meet in Saudi Arabia, they face what could be the most fateful decision of their lives and those of U.S. troops in the war, whether to recommend to the president that the time for a ground war has come. It is a decision dictated not just by events in this war, but also by the lessons of previous wars. One example from World War II, Iwo Jima. It was an island in the Pacific, only 8 miles square. 23,000 Japanese soldiers dug in on it in tunnels and bunkers. It was February 1945. For 74 days before the Marine invasion, American planes and ships had bombarded the Japanese forces to soften them up. But when 2 divisions of Marines landed, the resistance was ferocious, the fighting bloody. Retired Marine General Fred Haines was there.
Even with all that bombing, the Japanese, who were deeply dug in, they were in cave systems and much, very well protected underground. The Japanese did not seem to suffer casualties in any large numbers as a result of this.
For 48 hours, the Marines had no sleep as they fought their way inland. The Japanese troops had orders to fight to the last man. Of the 23,000 Japanese, only 216 were taken prisoner. American losses were the highest in the war in the Pacific.
We had a very high percentage of casualties because we fought an enemy that would not surrender, and we fought him in a sense on his own terms.
4 days after the landing, Marines reached the top of Mount Suribachi. The flag was raised, but at a cost. 30% of the landing force was killed or wounded. 6,000 Americans died on Iwo Jima. Well, in many ways, Iwo Jima is not Kuwait. Of course, the Iraqi forces today may not fight as hard as the Japanese did then, or maybe they will. That is why Generals Powell and Schwarzkopf, Defense Secretary Cheney, and ultimately the Commander-in-Chief George Bush want to avoid a full frontal attack against Saddam's well-dug-in forces. As on Iwo Jima, there is no doubt that the U.S. forces can win, but as at Iwo Jima, after the fighting is over and the flag is finally raised, the question will be, at what price? We'll have to wait and find out. That's our report on our world this day. I hope you'll join us tomorrow morning for Sunday Today and Meet the Press. I'm Garrett Utley. Good night.